Today on episode 36 of Audacity to Lead, you will learn how to develop and discover your unique leadership style as you lead from a platform.
Inspiring actionable content that helps you get focused, get started, and be impactful. This is Audacity to Lead.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Audacity to Lead. My name is Daya Samuel, and this is the podcast where I give you the courage and necessary insight to step out and lead with more influence. This is where I give you the audacity to lead, the courage and necessary insight to step out and lead with more audacity, with more influence. I wonder why. Okay, so I'm reaching you live from the city of Makurdi in Benue State, right here in Nigeria. And if you're listening to me right now, you could be listening to me from anywhere around the world. But right now, I'm reaching you live from Makurdi, Benue State. And I want to greet you in the language of the people of Benue State, in two languages that I've been able to understand to an extent. So first of all, in the Tiv language, let me greet you. Ndeve, and if you're listening at another time, Ndenina, Nsu, and let's say you're listening and you just want to tap into the Idoma language and to say Anya Abole. Okay, so that's where I can stop right now. Well, today this episode is quite a very interesting one. You are going to be learning how to discover and develop your unique leadership style as you lead from a platform. Before I get into the main part of this episode, I just want to take this time to appreciate a couple of comments that came in from listeners just like yourself. I just want to appreciate these people who sent in their comments. Otumba Adenyika Damilola says, I salute you, sir. Your podcast and mails are a lifesaver. You're the best, Mr. Dayo. Thank you, Otumba. I really appreciate that. Amoyemi Bekibo says, your podcast is good, very good, and well loaded. It amazes me how you are able to load each podcast with enough resources. Trust me, it's well loaded. Thank you so much, Becky. I appreciate that. Mr. Equip Smarts Makigwal says, I must confess you are doing an awesome work at audacity-to-lead.com. You are the first to communicate to me the real understanding of a tribe. Thank you, Mr. Equip. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that. And Kenny Okpeyemi says, just want to say a big thank you for your podcast, platform-based leadership. Well loaded and insightful. Can't stop replaying it. Baba, you too much. Kudos. Thank you, Mr. Kenny Okpeyemi. I really appreciate your comment. Thank you so much for sending that in. Now, just as I go into the main topic for this episode, which is discovering and developing your unique leadership style, it is very important I bring something to your notice. While you lead from a platform, whichever platform you choose, you will always receive comments, remarks, statements, and all that. In fact, one of them is what I'm going to read to you right now, which someone sent in just a couple of days back. And she says, I won't pay to hear someone think. Before you get my money, you got to be sure. That means those who think and are not sure don't deserve my attention. In case you didn't get that, let me repeat it. She says, I won't pay to hear someone think. Before you get my money, you got to be sure. That means those who think and are not sure don't deserve my attention. Now, that's just one out of the comments that I've received over time. But then this is the mindset behind this comment. This person, or let me say in your case, let's say you receive a comment like this, you might want to take it very, very personal. But the way to deal with such comments is very, very simple. Understand your unique leadership style. The person may not be able to understand your leadership style, and that is why there's no congruence between how he or she, the commenter, sees you and how you see yourself or how you're being seen. So while this is not really about perception, it's actually about your leadership style, because whatever style you choose to lead from, in fact, you already have the style. All you need to do is to discover it and to develop more on that. So given that as a background, I want you to understand that each of us will lead from a natural makeup, because our natural makeup will eventually influence our leadership ability. All of us will lead where we are, from who we are, but not the same way as someone else. So God has packaged it of us to provide leadership from our makeup in different ways. To give an example, in fact, an example I use oftentimes when I teach leadership styles like this is the example of a church. If a church is led by a sanguine, the church will tend to be very flexible and inspiring. But one thing is that they may jump from project to project. But then if the same church is led by a choleric, the church will tend to be full of so much, in fact, a lot of activities. But if it's led by a melancholy, the church will seem to be very, very organized. In fact, at a point you will think they are trying to chase the Holy Spirit away from doing his work in the church. Now, if the organization this time around, or let's say the church as I've been using, is led by a phlegmatic, what you find out is that the church will quickly settle for normal, for the status quo, because once they are able to stabilize and build the momentum and they are able to get things going, the leader, the head, the most senior person within the organization may tend to, in fact, we usually want to settle for a status quo. So based on that, every single person who's following that person, if they are not conscious of the fact that this leader is leading from a particular style, or this leader has a different style, you may not be able to understand that. Now, one thing I will also want you to understand is, while God has packaged each of us to lead differently, and for different reasons actually, we have to take advantage of that and provide leadership to our homes, our churches, our organizations, our tribes, our platforms, to the people we lead in the way that God has made us. What you may want to do is to understand your unique leadership style in as much detail as you can, and then leverage that to lead with more influence. So today, I want to share with you 10 different leadership styles that will help you lead with more influence. A couple of years back, I remember reading Gary Will's book, A Certain Trumpet, and in it he said, certain leaders have had high impact because their particular style of leadership meshed perfectly with a specific need in society. That tells me that discovering and developing your unique leadership style will be a major key to your effectiveness as you lead from your platform. So, I will share with you the 10 different unique leadership styles. Number 1 is the visionary leadership style. Now, if you are a visionary leader, or let me say it this way, if your style is the visionary leader, you will notice that you have a crystal clear picture in mind of what the future could look like. You tend to appeal to everybody to get on board with your vision. You respond to opposition by digging in your heels, and you tend to raise your voice louder. You have a natural ability to do some things well, but you will require others to handle the things you cannot do well. Now, that tells you that you are a visionary leader and you express your style that way. Number 2 is the strategic leadership style. Now, this guy has the ability to take an exciting vision and break it into a series of sequential, achievable steps that everybody can understand and participate in. You have this tendency to challenge team members or your tribe members to stick with a plan till you actually get the goal accomplished. One other thing about the strategic leader is that you strive to bring the subgroups of an organization or your tribe into alignment so that all of you can flow in the same energy towards realizing a vision. Now, that said, I move on to number 3, which is the directional leadership style. Now, if you are a directional leader, that is, you express your style this way, you'll notice these certain things about you. You have a God-given ability to see and choose the right path for your tribe, for your platform, especially as you approach a critical intersection, a point of important decision. Now, you may never stand in front of a public to speak, but you have this wisdom that makes it easy to access the values, mission, strengths, weaknesses, resources, the personnel, the openness to change, and then you easily chart direction for people. Now, that makes you a directional leader, and you express your leadership in a directional style. Let me talk about the 4th style. I'm actually going to 10. So the 4th style is the managing leadership style. Now, a popular statement that describes this goes like this: leaders do right things while managers do things right. Now, as a managing leader, you have the ability to organize people, processes, and resources to achieve a mission. You are a champion for bringing order. You kind of monitor and fine-tune a process. You motivate team members by establishing mile markers, key progress indicators, and growth measuring parameters on the road to the destination that has been drafted out, that this is where you are headed. Now, you may never get the attention of people, but you are able to manage even the few people you are able to gather towards the progress of or a goal. That makes you a managing leader, and you express yours through the managing leadership style. Okay, so this 5th type of style, the 5th style through which you can express your leadership, is the motivational leadership style. Now, as a motivational leader, you have a God-given ability to keep team members fired up by injecting the right kind of inspiration into whoever needs it most. You seem to know when a particular team member would get or needs a necessary boost. Maybe the necessary boost could be a day off, a change in an office. It could even be a title change, or it could be a training opportunity. But you are able to understand exactly what kind of inspiration somebody needs to boost his or her effectiveness. And then you also quickly realize that people get tired, they lose focus, they experience mission drift, or they start to wonder of if they are not really doing what matters to God or anybody else. So you seek to find ways to provide inspiration and lift the spirit of everyone who is connected to you. That makes you a motivational leadership style. Number 6, the shepherding leadership style. Now, a shepherding leader builds a team slowly. He loves his team member deeply. He nurtures them gently, supports them consistently, listens to them patiently, and prays for them diligently. Now, you are drawn towards team member because you create rich experiences that connect the hearts of your team members or your tribe members, and then by reason of connecting their hearts, their hearts begin to flow with goodwill that energizes them for a mission that you've already laid down. Now, teams under or tribes or people under the influence of a shepherding leader are found to say statements like, "We can do it together." Yes, we can do it together. Under a leadership leader, the range of vision can be very, very broad, but what matters most is the community dynamics, your ability to manage the community. In fact, as a shepherding leader, one of the things you notice about yourself is that you kind of create communities easily. Just like maybe you create a network, you're always focused on networks and all that. You may not be able to do so well at casting vision or putting strategic plans in place, but you have this unique ability to gather people, and you're able to make a huge difference in the lives of those people. That's an element, or those are the elements of a shepherding leader. If any of this describes you, you are expressing your leadership through shepherding leadership style. That's quite interesting. Well, that describes someone like myself anyway. But then let's move on. Number 7, team building leadership style. Yep. The team building leader knows the vision and understands how to achieve it, but realizes that it will take a team of leaders. In fact, let me explain it this way. As a team building leader, you discover that for you to actually accomplish a goal, you have to build teams to handle specific aspects of that goal. Now, you have a very supernatural ability that sees into people and allow you to successfully find and develop the right people with the right abilities, right character, right connection, right chemistry, and then you're able to match them with other team members. Now, coupled with this is the ability to put the people in the right position for the right reasons, thereby freeing them to produce the right results. You are always focused on building teams, and because you are a team builder, you are driven more by a clear understanding of the vision, a strong control of the strategy, and an accurate insight into people. That makes a very powerful combination. Notice the things I just mentioned. First is, as a team builder, if your leadership style is the team building leadership style, you find that you are driven by a clear understanding of the vision, what is to be accomplished, a strong control of the strategy, and an acute insight into people. That is, you are able to understand vision, strategy, and the people, and you are able to bring all of this together and build community and nurture. In fact, you don't just build community, you actually nurture and build community with people with the right abilities and the right character, right connection and chemistry, matched with right positions, right reasons, so that they can produce the right results. That makes you a team building leader, and that is the way you are expressing your leadership style. And that doesn't make you more... Anyway, I'll get to that, but just in case I don't. Whatever style you discover that is your style of leadership, is this way you express your leadership, just be aware that you are not superior to other, neither are you inferior to any other person, to any other style. It's just your makeup, it's just how you've been configured. And being able to lead from that, as I said earlier on, is what's going to make you very, very exceptional and make you very, very influential. Let me get to the 8th kind of leadership style, the entrepreneurial leadership style. Now, if you are an entrepreneurial leadership style, or if you're an entrepreneurial leader, you discover that you actually function optimally in startup mode. You have a lot of initiatives and you like to birth something new every once in a while. In fact, once you birth something, let's say a new venture, once it is up and running and it's operational, and your effort practically requires little to steady ongoing management, or maybe when things get complicated and require policies, systems, controls, and all of that, you kind of lose enthusiasm, you lose focus, and you sometimes you even lose confidence. You begin to wonder, is this really what I want to do? Is this really what I am made to do? Now, once you are having this kind of questions, it's simply telling you that you are this kind of person who loves to start things. In fact, they may come to a point where you begin to think you have to go on with your life, you have to move on and start something completely new. If you find yourself leaving an organization, ministry, or department you started or you were put in and you were so motivated in the first instance, it simply tells you that you are an entrepreneurial leader. That is how you express your leadership. And it also influences your platform, because if today you start a podcast and then once you're able to stabilize it, you begin to lose motivation, you begin to lose the drive. Or let's say you even start a blog and the blog gets a lot of traction, and then you look at it, you said, is this all there is to this blog? Can't I do something else? Now that tells you that you are an entrepreneurial leader, and this is the style you are expressing your leadership. And it's not bad. In fact, we need more of people like you to start things, so that people who are managerial and strategic can come in and balance things out. Good. Now let's go to number 9, which is the re-engineering leadership style. Now, as a re-engineering leader, you are gifted by God to thrive on the challenge of taking a troubled situation, let's say a team that has lost its vision, a ministry where people are in wrong positions, or let's say a team where people are not moving forward because they don't have a strategy. What you have been gifted to do as a re-engineering leader is to come and turn it around. In fact, you particularly like details of why, what happened, who did what, and then based on that kind of information, you're able to provide insight for necessary action. As a re-engineering leader, you come in the form of coach or a consultant. You can patch up, you can tune up, you can revitalize, and you can also provide the kind of insights that people need to actually create the necessary turnaround they're looking for. Now, the thing is, you may never necessarily start anything or lead anything long term, but you are always excited when someone tells you that you have to provide workable solutions to a crumbling situation. Wow. Now, looking at the scriptures, one guy that easily comes to mind as a real general leader is the man Daniel. You will remember that Daniel actually comes in at certain times when there were a lot of problems with interpretation of dreams. In fact, in Daniel chapter 2, also in chapter 4, and also in chapter 5, you will find Daniel coming in to provide interpretation to dreams that have cost many their lives already, and has also caused some to lose their positions of honor. Now, that is when Daniel came in, he simply provided the kind of insights that was necessary to turn that situation around. Now, that is a re-engineering leader. Another example that's flashing in my mind right now is the man Jethro. You remember when Moses was leading Israel and there was so much of chaos, people were lining up to get solutions to their problems, and Moses was the only person attending to them. Jethro came in and provided a re-engineering solution where he said, why don't you turn these people into teams, groups, tribes, and clans, where there will be teams of tens, of hundreds, of 1,000s, of 1,000, such that 10 can lead 100. And when the problem is very, very complex, okay, he says something like appoint people so that they can lead tens, they can lead hundreds, they can lead thousands. And if there be any problem that is too big for these people to handle, then they cannot bring it to you. Now, that is an example of a re-engineering leadership style. You simply come in, provide the insights necessary to take a turnaround action. Now, I want to move on to the last type or the last style of leadership, which is the bridge building leadership style. Now, as a bridge builder, you have this unique ability to bring together under a single leadership umbrella a wide range of constituents, groups, persons, members, and organizations. Now, what you will notice about yourself is that you possess a supernaturally inspired ability to compromise and negotiate. In fact, one of the abilities you have is to listen, understand, and think outside of the box. But above everything else, you also love the challenge of relating to diverse groups of people. You have this ability to create a win-win situation for everyone by uniting and focusing the efforts of every single person involved, the groups, the tribes, the members, and you're able to develop a healthier perspective. And you easily realize that people can actually meet the needs, or you can actually meet the needs of people that are not being attended to, and you can contribute to the overall achievement of an overall mission as well. Okay, that sounds a little complex. Let me simplify it. Okay, so I said you have this unique ability. If you are a bridge building leader, you have this unique ability to bring together under a single umbrella a wide range of constituent groups, people, and different personalities. And you have this ability actually to compromise and negotiate. You can actually listen to people. You are gifted to even listen to people. You can understand with people. You can think outside the box, yet be very empathetic when you do that. So if any of this describes you, then you are the bridge building leader. Once again, I repeat the 10 styles of leadership that I've just mentioned. There is the visionary leadership style, the strategic leadership style, the directional leadership style, the managerial leadership style, the motivational leadership style, the shepherding leadership style, team building leadership style, entrepreneurial leadership style, the re-engineering leadership style, and then the bridge building leadership style. Now, if you have all of this information with you right now, so how do you benefit from this whole information? Now, it is this. If you remember what I've been saying so far, if you have to be heard, you have to be seen. And I'm going to add this statement. If you have to be seen, you have to have a style through which you express what you have to deliver. So what you need to do right now is to sit down and go through everything I've shared with you in this episode so far, and then identify which of the styles actually describe you. You may find yourself in 1, 2, or 3 of these styles. In fact, most probably you'll find yourself in nothing less than 2 of these styles, and that is good. You could find yourself in 4 of them. What you may want to do is to pick a paper right now and then listen to everything over again. And then once you listen, you can write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Once you find yourself in any of them, just tick. If any of them describes you, just rate yourself. Maybe 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5 to be the highest that describes you. And then once you're able to do that, share your discovery with somebody who is close to you, which also means that you are going to share this particular podcast with someone who's close to you, so that the person can also listen and then rate you based on what he or she hears, and then he can also judge what you are, rate your score of yourself. Now, once you are able to do that, you will now look at, okay, this leadership style actually fits me well. But then you now ask yourself, looking at the kind of influence I want to create in the world, the kind of people I want to lead, what do I need to improve on this current leadership style I have? So once you're able to do that, you discover that answering these 3 questions, doing these 3 things that I've just mentioned, which is first of all to sit down and identify the one that describes you by going through, writing down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then picking out of 5 to 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which of them describes you, and you rate yourself using 5 to 1, 5 to be the highest, 1 to be the lowest. And then once you're able to do that, share your discovery, which is the next step. Share your discovery with someone who is familiar with you, is close to you, so that the person can actually rate you. And the next is to determine this style that I currently have, is it sufficient? Is it good enough for me to be able to influence the people I want to lead? Is it good enough for me to lead with more influence? Once you're able to do that, you will discover 2 things. One is that it helps you make sure that you match your platform, the way you lead, with the leadership style that allows you make the greatest impact. 2, it allows you to determine what leadership function is lacking on your platform or on your team, and what style of leader could be added next, or the kind of person you can employ, or the kind of person who has to be a contributor. So let's say you have, for example, if you are the strategic leadership style person, you could be looking for a visionary leadership style person to complement what you do. Now, if you're able to do all of this, what you need to do next is to commit to developing the strongest leadership style you have. Don't focus so much on what you don't have, okay? In fact, what you will discover is that everybody has been created incomplete. What is lacking in you is what God has given to another person. So being flexible enough to actually bring in another person is an added bonus to you. So understanding that, I'm aware you may have questions you would like to ask me. In fact, some of you may be very, very interested in actually taking this further, and maybe you even want me to walk through this with you. Well, in a couple of weeks' time, I'm going to be telling you how I'm going to be working with a couple of you who are going to join me in developing a platform to express your leadership. But before then, if you have questions, I want you to send them to me, dayo@audacitytolead.com, or just come over to audacitytolead.com/36 and leave a comment for me, ask your questions, and I will answer them. And if you find this episode useful in any way, please share it with somebody. In fact, this episode actually requires that you share it with somebody, so go ahead and share it with someone. And that's going to be the thing I want you to do this week. Listen over and over again if you have to, and then take notes, write down your observations, your comments, and then you can share them with me in case you want me to know about that. But of course, do all the assignments here, and I'll see you again on the next episode. If you have listened to this episode to this point so far, I want to appreciate you. Some of you might be battling with how to launch a blog as a platform, or some of you might have even concluded that, okay, since you can write, you would go with a blog as a platform. I want to recommend you get my course, Blog with Excellence. Start, grow, and monetize your blog in 10 days or less. The link is audacitytolead.com/style. In fact, I created this link specially just for the listeners of this episode. As a listener to this episode, this particular episode 36, you get a special discount of 50% off, valid only for the next couple of days. This is to appreciate you for listening to this episode. So if you want to start, grow, and monetize your blog in 10 days or less, go over to audacitytolead.com/style right now and claim your 50% discount, which is only valid for the next couple of days. So once again, I want to say thank you so much for listening to this episode. I really, really appreciate you for sending in your comments, sending in your questions. On the next episode, I'm going to be doing something special, and I hope to have you join me. Remember to get focused, get started, and be impactful. I see you again on the next episode.